Hello friends, welcome back once again. My name is Arun Chandukala and you are in chapter 9 of the Vikas Life Skill series. Today we will talk about time management. Now what is time? Um, Time can be defined differently whether you look at it scientifically or philosophically. You can look time as a box where you keep all your activities and then you can pull out one after the other. Or you can imagine time as a flowing river. However you look at time, the definition is time is very simple. Time is a rare commodity. There is only so much time available. Time availability is the same for everybody. Yet some people are able to do it better and some people are not. Some people struggle to manage their activities. Some people seem to be doing it very smoothly. So how is that the difference exists between people to people? So time management is a skill that one can develop. You don't are actually born with time management skills. Time management skill is something you develop. So in this particular session, we will look at what time management is and what are the various elements that are part of time management. So is this how your life looks? You are juggling on a clock. There are a zillion activities to do, yet time is very limited. You don't have much time to do what you want to do. Is this something how your time looks like? Take a moment, think about it, and then let's proceed. In this module, we will look at what and why of time management. We will look at what are the importance of time management in your lives. What are the tools available to be able to better manage your time? And what to avoid, particularly procrastination. We'll speak some amount on procrastination this time. You need to understand why is time management important, particularly as you graduate, you get into corporate lives, you get more and more responsibilities. Managing time becomes a very useful activity. You should be able to prioritize, you should be able to say no to what you don't want to do, etc. You need to be able to identify what are your time wasters and how you can overcome them. What are good time management practices, how you define your priorities, and how do you schedule your activities, organizing time and execute around your priorities. So those are some of the important thoughts that we need to keep in mind when we are talking about time management. So what exactly is time management? Time management can actually be defined as a set of skills, techniques, tools, etc. to organize one's life. You organize your daily schedule, you organize how your tasks are stacked, what you need to do first, how do you allocate time for each of those tasks, goals, etc. Now the trick is uh, knowing what to prioritize, what to put in the top of the stack and what to put at the bottom of the stack. Now these require some amount of thoughtfulness, some amount of practice and some amount of common sense. So typically we need to move from controlling time, we need to move to controlling time from allowing time to control us. So that is the fundamental difference. You need to determine whether time is the one that is driving you or are you driving time. That is a key categorization that we need to make as we move along in this presentation. What is time management essential for? Why do you need time management? In very simple terms, time management is required because you have too many things to do and very little time to do it. If you had little things to do and more time, then there is no question about managing time because you have more time than what you need. But in the reverse situation where you have little time and more things to do, you should be able to prioritize, you should be able to organize better. So time management is basically essential for organizing in your context study habits and how do you move to the higher level of time management, planning and executing small things effectively. So typically when we do goal setting, we break it down into little activities and make sure that these little activities are managed effectively. Then ultimately the bigger goal gets managed on its own. Um, Emotional state is a very important factor when it comes to time management. How your brain is functioning, at what state it is it in relaxed state, is it in a hyper state? These are things that determine how you can effectively utilize your time. Time management is important for you too. If you're somebody who likes to help others, time management is useful because you need to help yourself first. You need to get your schedule in order and then you need to get to help others. So if your schedule is haywire, you will not be able to help others. So these are little things that you need to keep in mind. And time management is an important skill because everybody else then looks up to you. You gain respect. You are liked by people because you're somebody who's able to deliver. And unless you're able to manage time effectively, you will not be able to deliver. So what is the process then of managing time? Now, time management is a five-step process, if you can see in the screen now. You need to plan, you need to organize, you need to make sure the organization works, you need to motivate yourself, and eventually you need to evaluate how you have done. So planning is key because unless you're able to plan your activities, unless you're able to set goals, visualize those goals and visualize the result of achieving the goals, you will not be able to effectively manage your task. So managing task also means that big goals are broken into smaller ones. You need to identify what are the barriers that you might encounter in your goal setting process, and you should be able to factor those in your execution process. So planning is a very important activity. It doesn't matter whether you're doing a big task or a small task. Planning is key. For example, if you decide to go for a movie tonight, uh, whether you like it or not, there is certain level of planning that is happening. It may not be so pronounced, it may not be so loud, but it definitely happens in your head. Planning is one thing that happens in your head. So you decide which movie you want to go to, you decide who do you want to go to the movie with, you decide how do you want to go there, what time you need to leave your house to be able to get to the theater on time, etc. So these are nothing but planning. You may not write all of these down on a piece of paper, but it is definitely working on your head. So unless you are able to plan a particular task, your ability to manage it to execution reduces to a large extent. So once you have planned out your activity, you then need to organize how you want to do the execution. And then when I say organize, what it really means is what are the tools available to you to be able to execute your plan to action. So say for example you have a drawing board, you clearly lay out what your plan is, you break it down into smaller activities, you use scheduling tools, you create study spaces, etc. So these are nothing but organizing your life around what you want to achieve. So it is not just you plan something and then you go ahead and execute it. There's a lot of activities that are involved in executing that process. So organizing is nothing but that. And then you as part of the organizing also, how do you delegate tasks, for example? Do you need to ask for help? If so, from whom? What kind of help? At what point of time? Do you need any support? Are you part of any support groups, any study groups, and so on? So these are things that you need to decide before you embark on that goal that you have set for yourself. Once you've done all that, you have to set in motion some internal processes. When I say internal processes, how do you as a individual, how are you getting ready to tackle your task? How are you going to motivate yourself? What makes you go through that process of the task? In the beginning I said visualize your results. So when you visualize your results, you typically end up motivating yourself, because when you visualize your results, you're actually in your head, you are reaching that point where your task has been achieved. So when you visualize, you get that motivation because you know that that is how your result is going to look. And you need to reward yourself. So as and how you achieve your milestones, your smaller milestones, your short-term milestone, middle-term milestones, long-term milestones, you need to reward yourself so that you are motivated enough to reach those milestones. And at the end of the process, you need to monitor your attitude, your behavior, because creating an attitude is one thing, sustaining an attitude is yet another thing. Because when you start out, you might be able to motivate yourself, you might be able to get yourself excited to complete the task. But as you go along the process, the ability to maintain that motivation is important. So how do you monitor your attitude, your behavior, etc.? And how do you track your achievements as you go along? Now, where can you stop and think whether you have made a mistake, whether you need to recreate something, whether you need to redo something? So these are abilities that are required to be able to track your progress on time. So a whole time management process includes planning to execution and everything in between. So make sure that whenever you undertake a task, however large or however small it is, there is a certain level of planning and creating the right environment and going through the execution that is involved. So this is a very beautiful analogy that is given in your book. If, for example, you if somebody deposited 84,600 rupees in your bank account and told you that by the end of the day you have to remove all that money, and whatever is remaining will get lapsed. So the money is yours as long as you can utilize it in one day. So what would you do? I'm sure you would use that money wisely. You would withdraw the money, use it for your present requirements, as well as use it for your future investments, so that at the end of the day, nothing gets lapsed or nothing goes back to the bank. This is exactly how time is. You have 84,600 seconds, whether you use it or not. If you use it wisely, you can achieve a lot. But if you don't, they get lapsed. So tomorrow morning a new cycle starts, a new set of 84,600 seconds come, and that is how life is. So if your life depended on that 84,600 rupees or seconds, however you look at, how would you use it? That's a beautiful analogy in the book. Think about it and use your time wisely. Use your time in a manner where you don't waste much time. A beautiful way to do that is to do a time audit. Look at the table in the screen. List down the activities on the left side. How many hours do you spend on each of these activities? Multiply it by the number of days in the week and see how many hours in a week you spend on doing these activities. At the end of, after you've done this, um, make a total and see what are the areas in your life where you can spend lesser time doing, and allocate those times into something more productive, something more useful that is driving you towards your goal. A time audit done periodically will help you in a great deal in identifying some of those time wasters or some of those areas which require low priority but you are using more time to do that, etc. So right now, pause this video here, uh, take a piece of paper, write down these things and calculate the total time schedule of your life and see where you can make improvements. Okay, I hope you have done that exercise and now you are in a better position to understand what are the time wasters or what are the low priority or medium priority items where you are spending more time than required. Can you realign your schedule or can you reallocate your time such that you spend more time on activities that are actually driving you towards your goal rather than activities that are distracting you from that? So this is a beautiful exercise that you can do from time to time just to make sure you're on track. You must have seen this example or analogy before. This is a beautiful analogy that captures the essence of time management. Now, a professor once brought a jar to class and he filled it with big rocks and he asked the students if the jar is full. Obviously, the jar was full, so everybody said yes, it is full. Then he added some small stones. Then he went on to add some sand and then he went on to add some water. So each time the students thought that the jar was full, but eventually uh, the jar had more and more space to take. Now, if you apply this analogy to your life, you need to see what is more important. The big rocks are, they indicate things are most important to you. The big rocks are the ones, your health, your family, your friends, and so on, the ones that are more important to you. But if you don't put those big rocks in the beginning into the jar, they will find no space towards the end. If you imagine putting the sand in first and the smaller rocks first, so all the unimportant aspects of your life, if you put into the jar first, it will have no space for the important ones. So you need to identify what are important in your life and you need to give priority to those. You need to put those in the jar first. So the rocks in your life is what you need to determine what they are and how do you want to prioritize those. Let's look at procrastination. What is procrastination? Uh, it's a very common thing that all of us have. Most of us are aware when we procrastinate, but many of us are not aware. We just while away time, and then after some time we realize that, oh, the time is all over and we have not achieved anything. So procrastination, in a sense, is one of the very common reasons for bad time management. It actually means avoiding doing something when it should have been done. You are either lazy, or you lack some resources, or you may have various reasons to procrastinate. But essentially, you are not doing something when you are supposed to do it. The result of this is your work gets piled up, and eventually you end up doing in a very rushed and hurried manner, and you are probably not doing it to the right effect. The results are not the way you actually want it to be. So procrastination is a common phenomenon. Probably all of us do it, but some of us are aware that we do it and we take quick corrective actions. Some of us are probably not aware, and we get carried away in that in that tide. So be aware that procrastination is something that you can correct, and you should correct on time. So what happens? Why do people procrastinate? In your context as a student, um, you probably procrastinate for various reasons. Some of the reasons are listed here, but there could be other reasons as well. These are common reasons. Fear of failure is one. When you are not confident of successfully completing a particular task, you tend to put it away. You tend to tend to say, let's do it later. I might get some more ideas, I might get more confidence or whatever. So you tend to put it away. Fear of failure is one great procrastination reason. Um, confusion. Confusion on how to start, how to end, how to go about it. So you probably got a new idea or a new task which you have not done before. So you are rather confused on how to go about the whole process, and that is the reason why you stop doing it. You procrastinate it. You say, okay, let me do something now, I will do this later. That could be one of the reasons. Difficulty of task also is yet another reason. If it's an easy task, you probably will do it and get done with it. But if it's a difficult task, you'd rather put it away, do it some other time. So that is one another reason. Lack of motivation is yet another reason. People who are not motivated enough to do something generally tend to put it away to the end. Concentration, unpleasantness of task, um, confusion about what is priority and what is not. These are some of the issues that in a student life people tend to procrastinate for. So if you are able to resolve these issues, I'm sure your ability to get out of procrastination mode becomes much more easier. Procrastination sometimes is okay, but excessive procrastination becomes a problem. And if you're able to, if you're aware of procrastination, if you're able to correct it, you're better off. But if you're not aware and you just get carried away, then we have a problem. So how do we prevent excessive procrastination? Motivate yourself to complete the task. Um, like I said earlier, visualize your results. Make sure the results are empowering enough, they are exciting enough, so that you are excited to reach the result. So that acts like a good motivating factor. Prioritize the tasks you have. We will look at how to prioritize in the coming slides. Commit yourself. Make sure that whatever tasks you are undertaking, um, they are your tasks. You're not doing it for somebody else. Um, if you are in that mode, your sense of commitment becomes lesser. But if you are taking it up as your own task, the sense of commitment becomes very high, and that is what you need to be able to get out of procrastination mode. And like I said earlier, reward yourself. You can reward yourself for little tasks so that it becomes exciting for you. Make it like a game. so that every time you reach a milestone, you get a reward for yourself, and then that becomes a motivating factor. Um, Work on the tasks at your best time. Now, what it means is some people are morning people, some people are night people, some people are able to think better on certain times of the day. They're able to concentrate more on certain times of the day and not so much on certain other times of the day. So, if you are aware which part of the day works best for you, you should do your critical tasks at that time of the day. And that's a good way to motivate yourself. Break big tasks into smaller activities so that each small activity becomes a goal and it is easy to attain. Because when large goals are there, they sometimes seem to be daunting, and sometimes you lose motivation because of the sheer size of the task. So when you break it down into smaller pieces, each of those pieces looks easy to be done. And like I said earlier, get help, create your study groups, talk to your classmates, teachers, mentors, get as much as help as you want to be able to complete the task. Eliminate distraction. Now this is a key. A lot of distractions come in our lives, particularly when we want to do something seriously. There will be other things that need our attention. Identify those things that are not important and that are interfering in your schedule, and eliminate those things. They can be put to be done later. Sidetrack it. Concentrate on what is more important at that moment of time. Take adequate breaks. That is important, because whenever our mind is occupied on a particular activity, it tends to sap our energy, and because you're losing energy as you continue to perform a particular task, you tend to be tired and you tend to get demotivated. So take adequate breaks both for the body and for the mind. That makes it easy for you to continue on your task. Keep the easier tasks to the end, because once you complete small easy tasks, your brain gets into a mode of accomplishment, and then it does not want to take up the bigger tasks, the tougher tasks. So take the tough tasks first and keep the easy tasks to the end. This is a very it's a psychological thing, that the brain then thinks that a task is completed and it wants to take a rest. So keep the easy task towards the end so that it is easy to be done, even if the brain is not motivated enough. Now this is a beautiful 4-blocker that you can use to classify your tasks. Now if you look at the box, it says important, not important, urgent, not urgent. So what becomes the most crucial tasks are the ones in the left hand top corner. So that is both important and urgent. And what is the least priority is the block 4, which is not urgent and not important too. So if you are able to categorize your daily tasks into these 4 boxes, you should be able to get to them in the order of their priority. So you know which one to tackle first and which one to tackle later. So this particular classification gives you a good handle on what you need to focus on during the day and what you need to keep it for a later point of time. So that makes it a good tool to have uh, for your categorization of tasks. Take a moment, make note of this, and use put all your tasks into these 4 boxes. That way you're becoming smarter in the way you are going to organize your tasks. Take a moment, pause this video here and answer these questions. Um, Think of all the achievements that you're most proud of and which have added most value to your life and work. How many of them have fallen in what category? How many of them have fallen in important but not urgent category? So you, by doing this, you should be able to get a good sense of what you have been doing right and what you have been doing wrong in all your life. Is there any scope for correction? Is there any scope for the way you look at categorization differently? So pause the video here, answer these questions, and then let's move on. Okay, so now hopefully you've got a better sense of what you have been doing right and what you have been doing wrong in the way you're categorizing your tasks. Okay, use the 4 blocker and categorize your tasks in a manner where you can set right kind of priorities for all the tasks in your day-to-day schedule. So with this, I hope you've got a good sense of what time management is. So thank you for watching this and good luck to all of you in your lives.